Hey guys, welcome back to Thorough Capping. I wanted to put a video up in regard to what I spoke about last night on my other two videos. As far as not every race or every card has to be like a long, tired uh, battle as far as the handicapping goes. There are some races you could find where you could change your methods around. You could quick cap and you could find your contenders different ways. Um, the thing is you gotta grow into a point where you're being you. Okay, what you feel you see or what you feel is a credible way to not only eliminate contenders but find pace lines and whatever else you may do factor wise that you feel comfortable with when you move on and you put your selections down to move on to the next race that you feel you did your due diligence. Now, what I did was I picked a race out that did not have a lot of intangibles, and I use that term a lot. Intangibles are races where you got a lot of horses coming off of layoffs, different distances, surface changes, tough to find pace lines because of all those reasons, tough to find a target rating because of those reasons I'm given here, and many other reasons. You might have a horse that's last two or three times out has had trouble trips, and the comments has shown that it had trouble trips, and now you have to reach back 4 races back, and that might be right before a layoff, and then you're wondering, are you really finding recent form here in this horse? But sometimes you find a race that kind of just, fits that quick capping scheme, and I'm going to show you a quick way here to look at that, to eliminate your contenders and to cut down on some of the work and some of the factors that you may do normally. First of all, we have a 6 furlong race, race 2 tomorrow, 7:15 on Saturday at Saratoga on the dirt. Now, I don't know what the weather's going to be like there. I don't even know if I'm going to play this race. I just wanted to use this. I downloaded these DRF forms for this meet or this card a couple days ago, so I don't even have post numbers, morning line odds, or whatever. I'm just looking through the horses. And we have a 6 furlong race on dirt. So when I look down, the first thing I look is I see, are there a lot of intangibles or not? And when I see this race, the answer is no. Let's forget any strikes or any type of marks or comments I have right now. Let's pretend we're looking at a blank sheet right now. And what I see is I see a lot of horses that are showing me today's distance, or at least I can get a segment of today's distance out of the 6.5 furlongs. Okay, I'm just going to, even though they're not numbered, I'm just going to go by numbers. The 1 horse, all right, the 2 horse, we had to weave a little bit here. And when I get to the 2, I'll talk about the weaving that I had to do. The 3 horse, yes. The 4 horse, yes. The 5, yes. And the 6. Yes. Okay, so we have races at this distance on this surface, okay? And I didn't do the 7 here. Look at the 7. And the 7 was a yes as well, okay? So right there, that tells me, you know what? This may cut my time a little bit, and therefore, I may be able to change my methods a little bit, the way that I eliminate, the way I look for it. And you might like this so much when I tell you that you might make this your normal contender selection method, okay? So keep an open mind when I go over this. The first thing I want to do is I want to find who's going to be the speed of the race, okay? And I do that all the time anyway. I don't always do it first. But in this situation here, I want to do it first. And once I looked over all these, I found 2 speed horses in this race, 2 E's, okay? And even though the DRF does not identify the running style, your eyes can tell you that this horse here is a need to lead type, and the 1 horse here is a need to lead type. Okay? So one of those 2, I have to assume is going to go out and grab the lead. Both of them are going to go after the lead. They may jockey back and forth for a while, maybe for a quarter or whatever, but one of them is going to get a clear lead. Okay, so just keep that in mind for later on. But right now, I want to find out which of these 2 show me the best first and second quarter. Now you look at this one, you say this is a 22-1, 46-1. There's no 22-1 here. There's a 22. There's a 22, 45-2. But you know what? I want to look for a race where this horse has actually won or come very darn close to winning, and this is the one right here. So I see a 22-2 and a 45-3. And this little interesting method I learned a while back. What I want to do is just add those two together. Okay, we have this is a 67, and then the 3 and the 2 would make a 5. That's another whole second. That's a 68. Now I go down here to the other one. Where's he at? Right here. And I got a 68 and 2 right here. And I maybe do this one here. There's a 68 and 3. So I'm going to make this horse my pace horse. The one horse. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to eliminate that other horse yet, okay? But right now I'm on the verge of eliminating that other horse. Because only one of these two can run gate to wire. They can't both. So right now I'm leaning toward this horse, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at every contender and I'm going to find a race that is very similar to this pace here. So I go down to the 2, and the 2 is the toughest horse out of all of these, and I'm going to slow down. I'm going to walk you through my thinking right now. Right away I tossed the last race, okay, the 7 furlongs on the turf, because it was on the turf. Okay, I did make note that he is coming out of a next out, a race with a next out winner. He ran very well, finished in 4th, 1 length out, and the second place horse went on to win the next out, and it was at today's company allowance, 50,000 starter. So I'm going to make note of that, but that's the only reason I'm going to use this race at all, just to make note of that. Now I drop 2 back, and this may fall right into my hands if I was playing, because tomorrow we could have it off track at Saratoga. But let's forget the track conditions. We have sloppy and we have good. We have 2 to work with here, because the race in between here, even though we're going back to November of 22, the race in between was also on turf. I'm going to toss that as well. Now, the thing is, if this is a fast track tomorrow, again, if I were playing it, I would toss this horse. If it was an off track, I would keep it. Here's why. This turf, this horse, this trainer wants to run this horse on the grass. You see here, turf. Ran well. Next out, off the turf. The dirt track was an off track, ran fairly well. Back on the turf again. Didn't run so well, but he put him back on the turf again. Next race, scheduled for turf, off the turf, wet track, runs well, back on the turf again. Okay? So the only time this horse is really going to find itself on the dirt is when it's a wet day. They're not going to scratch the horse. He has confidence in this horse on a dirt track. Okay, you look at the lines before that. Fast. Not very good. All right, sloppy. Well, yeah, he didn't run well there. But all these races here, they don't compare to the races here when you're looking at these two as far as accomplishment and success. Now, back to what I was saying, I'm not concerned about going back here to grab a pace line if I need to. All right, October of 22. Why? The horse is only 4 years old. It's not like he's a 6 or 7 year old, and he's just getting older and older. And each year that goes by and every new year that starts, the horse is not going to be the same. This horse was in 22, was running at this company, even stepped up to a 90,000 allowance, but was running at this company with success, and he has a couple races now in 23. All right, but if I had to reach back here, I wouldn't be that concerned about doing it. But what's going to make me decide which of these two I'm going to use is the race where he was most successful, and that's going to be this race here. Okay, we're coming off a 22-2, 22-3. Now there's a little bit slight difference here at the half when comparing, But I still want to go to recency. If I don't have to go back to here, I want to stick to the recency, and I would use this pace line here to not only when I do my velocity figures, as you're going to see, that's the race we're going to do our ratings off of too. Our target rating, our final fraction, our target buyer, and so on. Now I move back and I toss this horse here. Tommy Gunn. Here's why. I see 23 and 3, 46 and 3. Ran even. Okay, we're not worried about this last segment of the race. This is only a 6 furlong race. Okay, so we want to get at least somewhere around here. This is the 5/8. But again, 23 and 3, 46 and 3. Not good enough when I compare them to 22 and 2, 45-3. What this horse can do here at that level. Now I go back to the next race. 22 and 4, 46-1. That was a maiden race. Okay, so that's a big drop compared to today. So there was a tight. I had a tight decision to make here, and I tossed this at the end. I didn't toss them as I went down. I waited till I saw the rest of the runners, and then I ended up. I want to get this race down to at least 4 or 5 horses, which I was able to. Isitude, East Coast Girl, Sugar Gray, and Win for Gold. Okay? So I moved to East Coast Girl. Decision to make here, too. Actually, decision to make here as far as what line I should use as a pace line. I go here and you go, okay, $80,000 allowance. This is a slight drop. He's coming off a key race, as you can see. He didn't finish well in that key race, but I am taking in consideration the drop in class and the good early race that he run. And I'm sorry, I had the strike tool on. How he ran well early. The effort he gave early, and then he faded. Okay, but at the same time, I'm going to reach back. I'm going to reach back and check the second one out. I got a 22-2, 46-1. And I got a 22-1, 46. So again, if I add them together, I have a 68 and 3, 68 and 2. It was a fairly good race. I'm going to use that race as my pace line. Okay? To get my figures off of. And if he makes it to the next stage, to run the velocity factors off of as well. Okay, Talking Pharaoh. As you can see, I started to toy around. I wanted to use this horse. I saw 22-1, 45-3. 4 lengths out. Then I saw 23-1, 46-1. That's a 69 and 2. And then I said, wait a second. This was all at maiden level. No reason for me to try to find this a way to fit this horse in. So I tossed him. And then finally, or actually, we got 2 more left. We got Isitude, 22 and 4, 45 and 3. That's a 67 and 4 and 3, 67 and 7, which is a 68 and 2. Falls right in the area we're looking. It was a well-run race, so that would be the pace line I'm going to use, and I would draw my target buyer, final fraction, and my buyer cumulative, just off of that race alone, and not worry about anything else back here. And then finally, Charlie 5-0. Nothing appealed to me here. Okay, 2 races back. I mean, it was a 7 furlongs up until the stretch call. You know, he ran fairly well, but again, 69 and 2 when you add them. Last race out, dropped to a 25,000. So that's not a good sign there. He dropped and then ran even worse. So, I mean, there was nothing for me to say, I got to try to fit this horse in. Doesn't mean he's not going to win the race, but at the same time, we're trying to give ourselves the best chance at the horses that we feel, again, you being you, feel have an opportunity to win this race. So now we got 4. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my pace horse and find out, are there any other E runners? Not EPs, not horses that can run off the lead and on the lead, but is anybody else that needs a lead? And this is after I've done my target and all my numbers and everything. And I know that there's one right here. And I'm going to compare. I'm going to say, okay, target rating off this race, off the pace race, 81. 86. Okay, the one horse gets the nod there. Target buyer, 161. 155. One horse gets the nod there. Final fraction, 25-4. 25-1. Okay, not the best final fraction in the race, but better. And then finally, the buyer cumulative, 301, 310. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate, despite the fact we have the key race here, we do have a trainer note that I made. I'm going to toss that horse too, and I'm going to move these three horses to my next stage, which is just going to be drawing up the pace lines. Or I'm sorry, completing the velocity grid so I can get my averages, my factor X or X factor, my early pace horse, the sustained pace, and the AP, and then let the card chips fall where they fall, and see where these horses fall as far as once I put my data in, target horse, top from final fraction, and so on. But what we just did was we narrowed this race down to 3 horses from 7, I believe. Now again, still a little time consuming, but at the same time, you're not sitting there constantly putting numbers from one page to the next, one page back into the grid, one page. Yeah, you're spending a lot of time on your PP, and when you're finished, that's when you're moving over to your grid. And now you're moving over to your grid with only a select number of horses, because you doing what you do has determined that these horses do not belong. And again, you live and die with your decisions, and you see what happens. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. Again, my theme now is really based on a few of the emails that I've gotten about how do we cut it down a little bit as far as the time that it takes to do this. Well, again, there's so many different ways that we can do our factors and run our numbers and leave certain things out and add certain things in when we need to, change our grids around. Those grids are for you. Once you've downloaded them, they're for you to do whatever you want with them. You can open up a brand new Excel or a brand new Google Sheet, and you can start, copying and pasting and leaving things out, as long as you are able to carry the formulas over for the main grid, if you're using the main grid with the formulas. If not, if you're using the summary grid that I went over in last night's video, then go for it. Take out what you need to take out, add in what you need to add in. All right, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.